Hey there, Blade Gang. Welcome back to OG Blade Reviews. Glad you're here. Glad you've returned if you've been here before. And if you're a first timer, thanks for checking us out. I got something from Vosteed the other day in this larger box. And they told me what was coming. And it's glad to see some knives coming in from them once again. Fairly unusual for them in terms of the handle material that you're going to see on this. Anyway, taking enough time already. It's something like that in the box. They don't put names on them anymore. They just got the SKU. And yes, I've already opened it. And yes, it's a box inside of a box, which is very cool. And there's Vosteed. And there is their slogan, stay sharp, stay wild. Why are they saying stay wild? They use a lot of animals for knife names. Porcupine and raccoon and Akita and that kind of stuff. Anyway, look at this bright orange box. That seems to be the color they're using. It is a really nice gasket sealed Pelican style box, not a Pelican box. Inside, we've got a new kind of super dry, not silica gel. Maybe it's even edible. No. Forget I said that. Don't want to go leading people down the wrong path. Vosteed support. Return and replacement. If you don't like it, here's their raccoon. It's become kind of their logo slogan kind of a thing. And there is a Vosteed microfiber cloth. Just want to show you everything you get in the box, and we're going to set this cool looking knife aside and start taking a deeper look. So let's zoom in just a little bit. Look at this Rag Burl Micarta. And to me, it looks like the woodland camo. Could be very close to woodland camo. Don't drop this outside in the leaves and the pine needles and whatnot and the grass. You may not find it, except it's a pretty bright satin finish. And there is the top liner lock, and there is the blade. Wow, that's a very nice blade. I like that shape, that spear point sort of drop point with a forward choil. And it's a usable choil because my finger fits in it without cutting my finger. I have seen larger choils, so they cut back just a little bit. They compromised. It's not a huge choil like we have on some knives. And it also serves as a sharpening choil because you can stroke your stone or your diamond stick or what have you right out to the very edge there and not miss any of the edge. And it's a sharp guy, I believe. Get right into that. Yeah, I mean, Vosteed does a really nice, really smooth factory edge. Of course, what's helping that to some degree is the satin, smooth satin finish. Glides right through. We've got a lanyard hole at the end. We've got a deep carry clip that will reverse to the left side for you lefties. And what is a top liner lock? Well, top liner lock works something like this. It's like a liner lock, except it engages at the top of the blade into that notch right there. All right, and it's set to be stronger than a standard bottom liner lock because of the way it captures the blade. Won't get into all the specifics of that at the moment. It is a good size handle. And it is a medium size blade. We'll get into the specs in a moment, and maybe we'll get into the specs right about now. So overall length is 8 inches by my ruler, and blade length would appear to be, if we're measuring right to that forward point of the handle, we're going to call it 3.3. I think they said 3.31 or something like that. We got a sharpened edge of 3 inches. And going to metrics, we've got an overall of about 20.3 centimeters, and we've got a blade length of around 8.5 centimeters. Thicknesses in inches, the handle 0.53, blade stock 0.14. In millimeters, handle thickness 13.5 and 3.5 millimeters on the blade stock. Weight, but you can't. And what do we got? Let's go to grams. In grams, we've got 122.82, and in ounces 4.33. So under 5 ounces, very nice. It is also a front flipper. I can do that better with the left, hence the switch to the left hand. You can also use the button to open and close it. Noticed a few smudges on the blade here, so let's clean that off, make it look nice and pristine for you. Now, the designer of this knife is Geoff Blauvelt, and he runs a company called Tuff Knives. And I'm not sure if he's a knife maker or just a designer, not just a designer, but in addition to being a maker, perhaps. We were looking again at that top liner lock, and you can see that they've got it pretty well tuned. I mean, you could, with enough pressure on there, accidentally disengage it. That's something I always look for in button style locks, but the button's really moving the liner here, so buttons do a number of different things depending on the design. They can be a plunge lock, they can be an axis pivot lock, that is. Anyway, I don't want to say axis lock because that's a Benchmade thing for a bar lock. That's what they're calling it now. The micarta is got a nice rough finish on it. Now, whether that's milled in or not, I think it's just a natural texture depending on how they treat it. Now, with micartas, you can polish them, or you can bead blast them, or you can tumble them, or what have you. This one has a really nice sort of grippiness to it without a texture being added. Now, we got the size, we know how sharp it is. Let's take a look at another top liner lock from Vosteed. And this one is the Porcupine, smaller knife by about 1 inch overall, and about a 1/2 inch longer or so on the blade. So she's about a 3-incher, somewhere in that vicinity. They just simply changed the shape of the button. Same idea. I am noticing that I've got a bit more of a safety margin there on the button. You actually have to dig your finger in, whereas the cutaway here on the handle, the relief, is not quite as deep as we have on the Porcupine. So, you know, you can press the flat of your thumb fairly hard. Well, you know, you still have to be definite when you want to press that button and disengage the lock. Anywho, that's the Porcupine. That's in 14C28N. By the way, price-wise, I think this is coming in around 169 or something like that. I popped this up as a short before I did this full video on the Psyops. And it is, you know, price-wise, when the Psyops first came out, it was about roughly a $250 knife. If you're calling this a budget version, a lot of people will object to the fact that 169 is budget. And I would maybe tend to agree, except, as you may have noticed, prices are going up, 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 up. I'm sure some of that is the effect of tariffs, the taxation, so on and so forth. Not really sure. I still do see budget knives coming in from Civivi and Sencut and so forth for about, you know, 50 bucks, 60 bucks. I know, who else? Well, you see them out there. We still got the true budget knife level coming in. However, we got Elmax on this knife. Elmax is a premium steel right up there with M390. What else have we got? Again, from Vosteed, this is the Akita. See if I can do this right. There we go. And the Akita is even a smaller bladed knife. Well, it's about the same as the Porcupine, except this is using their Vancor pivot lock, and it's a nice one. They did a great job on this. I think that this was the design of Dr. Yue, and he has designed a lot of their knives. Not this one, but the Porcupine, I believe, and this Akita. This is a beautiful little knife. This is out of S35VN. It's a Bowie clip style, really nice, with a forward choil. Not a whole lot of cutting surface, maybe slightly less than the Porcupine. And comparing it to the Psyops, it's at least a half-inch shorter blade, somewhere in there. Really nice work done by Vosteed. I want to thank them again for sending the samples my way. What else have we got? Well, to show you Spyderco's compression lock, I have here none other than the Ikuchi, and this is a Paul Alexander design from quite a while ago. So you can get a little more light going here for you. And it's got that faux sort of carbon fiber with the surface carbon fiber on top of G10. Taiwan made. But there's your compression lock. I just wanted to give you a gander at that. Now, Spyderco's compression lock is on the left side of the knife. The top liner lock, which is really a compression lock, on the Vosteed is on the right side because you want the button on the left side of the knife for most of us, you know, right-handers. However, when you're pulling this back to disengage it on this Ikuchi, and what Spyderco uses as their compression lock, it's coming back towards you. And so that's the reason you've got that one on the left and the button compression lock or top liner lock on the right liner. But they do the same thing, pretty much. It's an interesting little knife. It is coming in right about the same length, same blade length as the Psyops. It is a much narrower knife top to bottom though. As you can see, skinny. And it is a cool kind of semi-upswept blade. I'm not sure you'd call it a Persian exactly. And it has a real interesting wheel flipper. And that's a unique design. I haven't seen too many other places. Had to tune the detent on this because it was tearing the flesh off my finger trying to open it. These are pretty rough right here, this gear. All right, let's put a few of these aside, do some standard compares. By that I mean knives that are pretty familiar to you, that have been out for a while. Here is the Griptilian for size compare. And it is pretty much the same length, maybe a tiny bit longer, and the blade a tiny bit longer, more in the 3.5 inch range than the 3.3 inch range. And it is the Benchmade Axis lock on that one. For a larger knife, here is the Rat 1 from Ontario, no longer in business as far as I know. And that's a good inch longer overall, with a blade roughly 1/2 inch longer. Close that up, and my daily carry this week, my EDC, the cold steel carve with the yet another kind of lock, the Axis lock. That is a good deal longer, close to a 4-inch blade, and it has the Atlas lock, which is kind of like the Super lock, which is kind of like the Shark lock, but they have a few extra contact points in there. If you see the breakdown when this is taken apart, very, very strong lock. OS 10A, but that, you know, that edge has been holding up really well for me since I tuned it up on my Work Sharp. Really nice. Anyway, let me know what you think of this new one from Vosteed. And again, it is the Psyops, kind of a redo of the Psyops with Elmax and this American-made burlap rag micarta. And they offer this in a number of other micartas. When I give you the link to Vosteed, you'll be able to see all those different handle materials at about the same price point. Be well, take care, stay safe.